I can't possibly do this because I have band. Casey did band, and you were amazing in band, and you really were committed and put a lot of energy and did very, very well in band. And you did the same thing in karate, and you did the same thing in your schoolwork. And that's not easy. So I'm hoping that some of your questions will incorporate how she managed it all, how she prioritized things, because you did a great job with that, with good energy. So that's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think she's a perfect role model of the time management and prioritizing and of commitment. You know, if you make a commitment here, I remember like having to sit down and go through a year's calendar and be like, you know, these are the karate events I've already committed to, and her having to do that, not me, but having to say, these are the karate events I've committed to, or these are the ones that I have to go to, I need to go to in order to be where I need to be with my training. And these are the classes I need to go to. And then looking at her band calendar and saying, okay, these are the requirements. These are, you know, I have to be at these things in order not to let everyone else in bands down, and balancing that and managing that and prioritizing everywhere there you did really well. I don't know that honestly, I don't know that I've seen anybody else go through our program and make that level of commitment and prioritizing on their own as a teenager, because that's big. I mean, doing it as an adult is one thing, but as a teenager saying, you know, no, I already made this commitment. Even though I'd rather be here, this sounds more fun. I made this commitment first and I need to fulfill this. And, you know, that kind of thing I think is really powerful. So, okay, my first question for you, Miss Casey. How did the Black Belt leadership training at Middleburg Martial Arts help you while you were in school?
I think you guys really said it. I think the biggest thing, I was a busy kid, and just the time management. And I think just being able to prioritize what was important to me. I used a planner then. I still use a planner now. I don't know how I was that busy in high school. I was reflecting on like my time at Middleburg Martial Arts when you told me you wanted to talk, and I was just like, holy moly, that was an insane time. But you're right, like taking the time to map out what was important to me. I know that I'm sure you guys still touch on goal setting a lot in your leadership program, but I have never gotten like such training and goal setting than I did when I was at Middleburg Martial Arts. And I think I've really been able to take that with me and to keep setting goals that are smart and making sure that I'm really prioritizing what's important to me. And I think you said, you know, I had a lot of priorities in high school. I still have a lot of priorities now, but being able to make that schedule, to know what's important, and then being able to advocate for myself, you know, letting people know, you know, I already made this commitment and I'm not able to follow through, you know, I can't do everything at once. But just knowing that, you know, some hard conversations had to be had, but I had to do what was important to me and what really applied to my goals.
Yeah, that's powerful too. There's a lot of adults, you know, we have a lot of adults in our program that are on this call right now. And I think that's a stronger thing for most adults than it is for the younger kids. But sometimes as adults, we can overcommit because we don't want to let people down, or we can commit to things and not in a selfish way, but things that are not in line with our goals. You know, if your goal is health or fitness, something like that, and someone asks you to go out for pizza or something, like whatever it is, it's really easy when you're considering, you know, just taking on too much and overwhelming yourself, or letting yourself down and falling short on your goals because of overcommitment. And so learning how to say no is really powerful. I know Miss Kathy, that was one thing she was working on in our program, was learning how to say no. And we went through the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Hopefully you guys remember this. A couple weeks ago, we just went through this book, and in it, it was talking, it's all this positive self-talk. And one of them is, I fulfill all of the commitments everything I'm committed to, and I do not take on any commitments that I am not prepared to fulfill. And that's really big, because once you commit to something, you commit to it, and you should follow through. So not committing to things that are not in tune with what you want to do and what you should be doing, and your goals, that's really big. And so what advice, because we do have a lot of students who are getting close to that point, but we do have a handful on here that are in high school, that are trying to balance these honor classes, IB classes, AP classes, dual enrollment classes, and teaching and training and other activities. What advice would you give those guys?
Again, I think a planner is a really great tool to have. Whatever you're using to manage your time, writing it down and seeing just where you have time to be flexible, where you're taking time for yourself. But I remember, Middleburg Martial Arts it's a family setting, and I remember whenever I would have a hard time, especially in school, I would go to my friends. I remember Mr. Jarrett giving me math lessons when I couldn't pass my tests in Algebra 2. So leaning on those people in your life, if they're able to help you, if they're able to help you through projects, or if it's something that you're doing with karate. God, I don't think I would have been able to do half the things if I didn't have you, Rachel, or Gwen to lean on when things were getting difficult. So, really making sure, like I said, I think a planner is a great way, but also telling people when you need help. If you realize you overcommitted, or if you need a spark of motivation, relying on those people on your team to help you get through it as well. I think that's super important. You can't do everything yourself.
Absolutely. And
having
you want
people
to.
support you. Right? No, that's not fun.
Yeah. Well, that's really important. And I think that just to piggyback on what you said with that too, part of that is being that for somebody else. And we did, we had a big group of us when we were younger, and we all were always ready to help each other out. You hear people who are like, oh, well, they didn't, and this, you'll relate to this because we were team leaders at the same time. We were instructors at the same time. So we had this group of like, if anybody had, I have a test in AP US history tomorrow. Can somebody teach for me today? Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to switch with me for Friday? And it was such a positive thing with no expectations. And so I've heard, and it happened then too sometimes, but people are like, oh, this person will never help me with this, so I'm not going to help them. And that's the wrong way to go about things. And as instructors and as leaders, that's where it's not about what you get in return. It's about helping other people. And you do end up getting more in return eventually, but it's not because you expect it or you demand it or things like that. But if you're always giving and helping others, people want to do that right back to you. And it was never a question. Jarrett was a good example of that. He helped me with math at one point. And so, but it was never a matter of like, hey, can you help me with this math homework assignment? It wasn't like, yeah, what are you going to do? Are you going to help me with mine? Are you going to do this for me later? Like, no, it was just, yeah, absolutely. I'll help you, because that's what leadership is. And that's what being a good friend is, and supporting somebody is. So that was a really good point. Yeah. Finding that peer group and cultivating that.
Yeah, I think absolutely surrounding yourself with those people who have the same values, who have the same goals. I was talking to Gwen about this because I was like, are you doing this? And she was like, yeah, I'm doing this. And I was like, I was reflecting. I was like, I don't think I've been around a more like motivated, intelligent, like driven group of people than I was when we were at Middleburg Martial Arts. And I still think that's true. I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think all of these people who we went through this training with are some of the most successful, young people that I know. And it's through the training at Middleburg Martial Arts that, we were all able to cultivate and really lift each other up. Master Lapping used to say the rising tide rises all the boats.
Yes, all the time.
I think that's something I remember to myself all the time. We can all build each other up. And that's what we got to do.
Yeah. And there are so many for you guys all that are on here. Every one of you guys, we see it. The instructors all see it. There are those different groups building, because the ones that are starting right now are going to be a part of a different group. They're going to get their black belts together. They're going to get their second degrees together. They're going to be in high school together at different times than the ones that are testing for black belt right now. There's all of these different little groups, but they have some strong, motivated, driven people in those groups that are going to be just as successful as all of these people that we've had as these guest speakers. And so I'm excited seeing those relationships form, and seeing you guys learning and training together, because I know that we all went through that, and that's really powerful.
And Rich, can I just add something? The other thing that I noticed with that whole group is the majority of you all had parents very involved and very supportive of the studio. And you guys were almost like your parents were all parents for each other. So for instance, if Rachel was hanging out with the wrong crowd, I heard about it immediately. Or if someone did something, we were all kind of had each other's backs. And all the parents, like if I didn't let someone test or something, the parent was the first one to support us on that, saying, even though it hurts my child right now, I understand. So we had a really, really good support system, not just the kids, but all the parents, and they all became friends too. I mean, you look at the friendships that were developed there. Like you and Gwen are still best friends. I understand you're going to be in her wedding.
Yeah, I'm her maid of honor in November.
That is so cool. But that's what I think that's what we've developed. And I think the parents developed that as well. And I think that is so beneficial just to have this positive group of people to hang out with, and kids and parents. So I just wanted to include the parents in there because they were a big part. Your mom was a big part of our studio and supporting the studio and always seeing the positives and, you know, that kind of stuff, and explaining to people why something was some way that they didn't understand.
Absolutely.
Okay, my next question for you, Miss Casey. How did your Black Belt leadership training help you outside of school?
Outside of school, I think just getting that very unique experience to teach people at such a young age just opened up a lot of doors. I think that it's not an experience that everyone will get. And as you guys go through, you know, your Black Belt training and you start teaching, you'll kind of get that. So I think it set me up in a very unique way to be able to adapt to what other people need, to be able to empathize what other people are going through. But then also take all of those skills that we had learned, you know, goal setting, time management. Oh my God, I still have the 7 habits of highly effective people sitting on my bookshelf, and take a glance at it, you know, every couple months just to make sure that I'm still, you know, following what it says to be successful. So I think just it's ingrained in my brain, you know, the 7 tenets, the 5 codes, literally live my life through them. I think that it's a really great lesson to take with you. And those are really great values to have. And I think that, you know, out of when I went through college and now that I'm here, I think that like my training for Middleburg Martial Arts and those values that instilled in me are exactly why I'm in this position, exactly why I'm working for this company and doing the work that I do, because there was nothing more important to me than having friends and getting leadership experiences and then eventually having a job with you guys, you know? So yeah, I think I answered your question.
Well, and that's big too. You know, a piece of that you were saying, like all that you learned from teaching it and all of these things that we covered, but that's another thing too. You can learn something and know it, but when you have to teach it, you have to know it. So there's a certain amount when you've taught the 7 habits, when you've taught the 7 tenets and the 5 codes, or, you know, any of those kinds of things, you learn it that much more. And our students are doing that. They start in the, you know, all of you guys, our CIT program, Certified Instructor Training Program, and you gradually get to a point where you are teaching all of those skills and you have to embody those before you can teach them. And we make sure our students do. And that's a big piece of that too. Okay. So Miss Casey, what is the most important thing that you benefited from your Black Belt leadership training?
Gosh, so many things. I really think, like I said, like the values, knowing integrity, concentration, perseverance. I'm going to go with respect because I've never been really great at following the rules. You know, honoring friendship, like all of that stuff, just taking that with me. But also I think just the friendships that came out of it, you know, you touched on it. I think I'm so lucky to have been able to develop the friendship that I have with Gwen, and that we've been able to, I mean, like we met in karate and now here we are 10 years down the road, still best friends. So I think that that's something that I've really been able to get out of it. And yeah, just so many experiences, guys. Like I've never been able to identify with someone who's afraid of public speaking, because we had to do it. You know, when I was 14 years old, we led gold meetings. We taught classes. I'll never forget the day that I worked with Master Hutchinson and like retaught him the cane form. And I was like, I can do anything now. And just that confidence that it instilled in me, knowing that, you know, I can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so many little things. And it's funny, we're doing, I don't know if you were on yet when I was talking about it, we're doing a promotion parade because we're modifying things, but we had that like car decorating contest. And there's so many little bonding things that I remember going through training and us like caravanning to different tournaments or different things like that. And tournaments are a perfect example of that. Getting up and competing, and you're in this group with other martial artists, so it's so supportive and it's such a good environment to do that, surrounded by other people who are so, you know, welcoming, and it's such an educational experience. But it's one of those things putting you way out of your comfort zone to a point where you like being out of your comfort zone, right? Like, I don't know if you're like that now, but I know I am. Like, yeah. I was asked to teach a training session next weekend with all of these masters and all of these black belts from all over the world. And I was like, ooh, that's scary. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. So that kind of that, but I think that is a big piece of why all of you guys are so successful and so driven, and being just always out of your comfort zone, but then it being such a supportive environment too. So with that, back to the car decorating thing, I don't know if you remember that, but it was all caravanning and decorating the cars with the car paint and like Region 21 tournament and stuff like that, which is so much fun. Okay, my last question for you. So we have about 50 families who are on here, and some of them have made the commitment to black belt and are in our leadership program or our master's program. Some of them are considering it. So what would you tell a student or a parent who's considering making that commitment to black belt leadership training?
Well, to the parents, I would say, I think if you were to ask my mom or my dad, what has been like the most important aspect of my life, like what has put me where I am now, they will tell you it's Middleburg Martial Arts. 100% the training that I got there, the responsibility that I had there, set me up for like where I am today. I also think they knew, raising a teenager, that there could have been a lot of things that, went haywire, but I had this really solid group of great kids that I was friends with. And again, like, not really listening to my parents, but those values being repeated into my brain, integrity, concentration, perseverance, respect, and obedience, all of that it stuck with me. And maybe I would have never listened to it if it came from my parents, but because it came from Master Lappin and all my friends and this idea of accountability, I've really been able to carry that through my life. And I think that alone would be reason to commit to black belt. And then to the students, like when I reflect, like becoming a black belt was probably still one of my greatest accomplishments outside of completing my education, but on like a personal, like passionate level. I think it's really important to have an outlet, to have people that care about the same things that you do. As you get older, as you get into high school, you go to college, you get jobs, you'll find people won't always think the same way you do, won't always have the same passions, but when you're in karate together, you do. And I think that's really awesome to be able to share that with a group of people. And it's just like a really great time, I think it was always great knowing that I had somewhere to go. I had a family outside of my family. And just, I have friends all across, the country that have moved, that we went to black belt camp together and that we're all still keeping in touch. So I think that alone, again, it's important to have people you connect with and that have the same passions as you do. And I think that becoming a black belt is kind of unlike any experience that you can ever have. And black belt camp is so much fun, guys. So if you're a student and you're still on the fence, black belt camp is the greatest experience. Some of the funnest times I've ever had in my whole life were with these people while we were training. And it's really hard too, you remember doing those practice tests that your mom ran before you tested for 3rd degree and 2nd degree, and us like dying on the mats. But again, like there's no one else that I would have rather been there. And it's a really great way to stay in shape. You don't realize that when you start to get busy and you get a job. It's a really great way to stay in shape and to have people that love to do it with you.
Yeah. We still do those black belt workouts. Most of you guys have been to a black belt workout or seen the sweat drenched person leaving a black belt workout. But yeah, those are, and I've said this to a couple people now, but there aren't many places where you can kick somebody in the head and then hug them afterwards. And that's such a perfect example of that relationship that you build though. You guys are sweating together, pouring your hearts out together on the mats and on the floor and giving everything you can, doing something you never thought you'd be able to do halfway through a workout. Most of the time, even now, like I'll do one of those workouts and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, wait, yes, I can. And you keep going. And the person next to you is doing the same thing. And that's such a big accomplishment just in that. And then getting to black belt with people, that same amount of empowerment and accomplishment and just like achieving something big like that is crazy. And then to have so much fun before and afterwards and everything like that makes it so enjoyable. So thank you so much for that, Casey. I really appreciate that. Master Lappin, is there anything else that you wanted to ask Miss Casey?
Not really. I really like the things she said, though. I liked the goal setting, priorities, accountability, advocating for herself, asking for help when you need it. Those are all great leadership tangible things that people could take with them and use them. So I really appreciate that, Casey. And it didn't surprise me that you said all those good things. So very good. Very good. Thank you so much for being here, and stay in touch.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, guys. This was great. I was like literally doing forms in my living room this morning. I was like, gotta get pumped.
Casey, is there anything else that you want to say to these students about leadership? Because that is, well, technically it ended yesterday, but it was our theme of the month this month. So is there anything else you want to say to these guys about leadership?
No, I don't think so. Just remember that, find your style of leadership that works for you. It's not going to be the same for every single person. Be open to constructive criticism. I think that that's a really great thing to be a leader. Yeah, man, just step out of your comfort zone. I think Middleburg Martial Arts is a great way for all of you to become really great leaders. So.
Well, thank you so much. And do you have a minute if I let these guys, if anyone has questions, ask some questions?
Of course.
Okay. Does anyone have a question for Miss Casey? Skylar?
How old were you when you started?
I was 10 years old. I started in the after school program. Way back when.
Back in the day. All right. Benjamin, did you have a question for Miss Casey?
I just answered it.
Oh, just kidding. Okay. Who else has a question? Stella has a question. What is your question, Stella?
When did you get your black belt?
When did I get my black belt? So 14, I think it was 9th grade. And then I got my second degree in 11th grade. So 14 and 16.
Awesome. Who else? Miss Abby, you have a question?
How old were you when you got your black belt?
I was 14 years old.
All right. Miss Mackenzie. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
What is your definition of leadership?
Oh, that's a good one. My definition of leadership is helping people understand what they need. So just being that person to help them achieve their goals. And this is my role as a leader now. Leadership can look different in a lot of different ways, but I think just being true to yourself, helping others when they need it. And then also knowing when to step back. Maybe it's not always your time to lead. Maybe it's your time to help out a leader. So that's what I think my definition of leadership is.
I love that. All right. Any other? Jonathan, what is your question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So my question was, when you were in band, what instrument did you play?
I played the clarinet.
Ah.
Yeah, the band kid, guys. You can do it too.
We have, I don't know if Connor's on here, but he's another good example of that. He is in band, and same thing, balancing teaching and band and school, and he does a great job with that. All right, is that, I can't tell the buttons in front of you. Is that Caden or Isaiah?
Caden,
Hi, Caden. What's your question?
how old were you when you started karate?
I was 10 years old. I think I was in 5th grade.
Miss Kathy, do you have a question? You're unmuted.
I just want to know, Rachel, did you share that picture with her that I shared with you and Gwen from the demo?
Oh, no. Oh, it was from the Grease demo, right?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Oh, so I didn't talk about that. So we mentioned this the other day. Miss Gwen brought it up. We did this world demonstration. We won 3rd place in the world. Casey and I ran that. She ran that demonstration with me, and that was so much blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And it was so rewarding. It was so much fun. Miss Kathy sent me some pictures. I actually have been meaning to message your mom to see if she still has the video.
She has it. Yeah, we gotta find that one so we can relive that demo.
Yeah, definitely. I'll message her on Facebook or something. But if you next time you talk to her, ask her
I'll find out. Yeah,
to me if she can find it.
She did have a copy.
I
of
would love
it,
to share that. Good, because that was a good one. And a lot of that was Casey was a huge Grease fan. I watched Grease for the first time, I think, at a sleepover with Casey. And then again, on our way to Itchitucknee Springs. And then again, we watched it a lot before we put that demo together.
We haven't
That
watched
was
it
fun.
since.
All right. I know. I don't think I've watched it since then either.
That wasn't-
Miss Becky, did you have a question for Miss Casey?
No, ma'am. I was just saying Connor's practicing right now.
Oh,
I love that.
there's been a couple times where Miss Becky has been on like our instructor meetings and you hear Connor practicing in the background. It's fun. All right. Any other questions? Miss Maya.
Well, it's not really a question, but I want to say hi, Miss Casey.
Hi,
And
Maya. Hi, Marshall. How are you
Marshall.
guys?
We're good. We're good.
It's so good to see you. I see that you guys are both black belts now, which is so awesome. I love seeing the pictures of everyone. Gwen told me, Kathy, that Tommy's getting ready to test for black belt.
He already tested back in October.
Good.
And the regional event this month or in April was canceled. So he has to wait to get his black belt. And he's in high school now.
Oh
Yeah,
my
his official
gosh. I remember when all of you guys started as tiny tigers.
Yeah, there's a few
Yep.
on here that were, Marshall was probably a little tiger.
Yeah,
when-
I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure.
gosh, he was so tiny too.
I was 5.
Yeah, now he's like a giant. It's ridiculous.
You know,
Be
Maya's
nice,
the
Maya.
third degree. You guys know, Casey, do you know Maya's the third degree?
You have your third degree?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I tested in October. Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's so great. Wow, that's amazing.
She's one of the highest, and Anne went to master's. She
I
has
did
already
see
tested
that.
master's degree. So we're really proud of her
You guys
too.
are so awesome.
You know what I still remember? I remember the demo that you guys did with the top hats. Feel like a woman.
Oh,
I
man.
was wondering if that was going to come up.
That was so, I still think of that song and I think of you guys with the cane and the top hats.
And the Shania
That was so
Joe
cool.
and Lane. Yeah, no, that was
fun
a
one. Yeah,
a great demo.
that was cute. Okay, well, I don't think I see any other questions. So let's all go ahead and unmute ourselves and say Kamapsunida. Thank you, Miss Casey.
First birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, Casey. I really, really appreciate it. And next time you're in the Middleburg area, make sure that you stop in the studio and
For
see us and see
sure.
everybody. And we definitely need to get together. Maybe we'll get together and watch Grease or something.
Absolutely. I know I told Glenn, I was like, we'll do a whole remake. Jarrett and Rachel still star. But
All
yeah,
right.
thank you guys so much for having me. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye, Casey.
Bye, guys.
Does anybody else have stars to turn in, character building sheets to turn in? We'll do those.
Bye.
Anybody?
Bye, Miss Rachel.
Goodbye, Miss Abby, Miss Leadership.
Bye.
Abby.
Bye.
Any stars today? What?
Or Monday.
Yes, Monday will be our next match shot. Make sure you guys are ready and on time for your test this weekend if you're testing. No stars today? What? That's crazy. All right. Well, bye, you guys. I hope you all have a great day. For any of the staff instructors, and for our instructor meeting, I'm going to end this and then we'll start another one, okay? All right. Bye, guys.